So time for the new questions, and at the same time to declare the winner. In fact, I have got around 10-12 responses of my questions of yesterday, and of that questions, many answers have come, but totally correct answer has come from Rishit Singla, who is the winner for yesterday's questions. And in fact, I have got many more correct answers. Apart from the Rishit Singla of MBN Sector 17, who is the winner, I got correct answer of one of the question for optics question from Bhavik Chandana, and another correct answer I have got from the Divyam Singhal of MBN 17, and Bhavik Chandana is of modern DPS cadet Faridabad. So the winner for yesterday's questions is Rishit Singla. Congress, Rishit. You have done very good. And in fact, every day I am going to put up two questions as I discussed earlier. These questions are basically not the formula based. In fact, they will emphasize the very basic concept of the subject. And so every question will be based on the basics of the concept. And if you can use the basic of the concept, then only you can solve those questions. And I found that little bit yesterday's question was a little bit difficult, you can say. However, it was simply based on the basic concept that we discussed. In fact, the first question that I will discuss right now is the application of conservation of momentum, energy, and constraint. If you apply properly the constraint, conservation of momentum, and energy, then you are able to get it. And the values I have chosen, I've taken care that the values are not too complicated to solve. So let me first discuss the first question. The first question is, we are having a horizontal rod, a smooth rod, on which there are two rings. The masses of the rings are 2m and m, and we are having a horizontal string, two horizontal strings as such, of different lengths, say L and 2L. They are joining a block of mass m, and the system is released from rest. When the system is released from rest, what will happen? We can see, due to gravity, this block will fall down. When this block will fall down, in fact, with respect to this ring, it will move on the circular path. So the motion will be like this. This block will be coming on the circle with respect to this ring, and this tension will causing the ring to move in this direction. So let me make the diagram of that moment when the shorter string will be vertical. At that instant, I am asked about the velocity of the block. So we can see here, this the ring, let the ring has come to this position, and this shorter length string has come to this position, and then this one will have moved some distance. So this is the diagram. Okay. So this is the string of length 12, and this is the string of length L. So this string has become like this. This is vertical, and now this is inclined. So at this moment, you can clearly see the velocity of ring, whatever it will be here, will be in this direction, say v1, say v2, because I am asking you the velocity of block, so I will take the velocity of block as v1. So I have to calculate v1. In fact, this ring is moving in the horizontal direction, and with respect to this ring of mass 2m, this block is moving on the circle. Why? Because this length is constant. So with respect to the ring of mass 2m, the velocity of block, motion of the block is circular motion. So it is always perpendicular to the length, and perpendicular to length, and always at the same distance. So with respect to this ring, the motion of this block is circular motion. So at this moment, the velocity of the block relative to this ring will be in the horizontal direction. So in the ground frame also it will be in the horizontal direction, because this is moving in horizontal direction, and the block is moving with respect to this ring in horizontal direction. So in ground frame, the velocity of block is going to be in horizontal direction. Now let it be v1. And what is the velocity of ring at that moment? I don't know. Say, let velocity of this ring at that moment be say v1 dash I am taking. Why I am taking v1 dash? There is a specific purpose for this. So let it be v1 dash. So you can see here at this moment, what is the angle between v1 and the string direction? Let it be theta. And here again it will be theta. Why? Corresponding angle. So you know the component of velocity along the string for a string has to be always same. So v1 cos theta is equal to v1 dash cos theta. So we can get v1 dash is v1. So interestingly, at this moment, the velocity of this ring of mass m and this block is same, say v1, and this is v2. Now we can apply the conservation of momentum of the system in horizontal direction, because you can see here any external force in the system is only in the vertical direction. Normal direction on 2m, normal direction on m, and gravity on m. So all these forces are in vertical direction. So there is no external force in the horizontal direction. So we can conserve the momentum in horizontal direction. So applying conservation momentum in horizontal direction, we are getting 2m v2 if I am taking right direction as positive, minus m v1 minus mv1 again for the ring. So this total is going to be 0, because initially when I release the system, the momentum was 0. So solving it, I am getting, interestingly, v2 is equal to v1. So if I ask you, what is the gain in kinetic energy of the whole system? That is the kinetic energy of 2m, and this ring of mass m, and this block of mass m. And interestingly, all of them are moving with the same speed, say v1. So the total kinetic energy is again the change in kinetic energy. Delta k is going to be half into total mass I can take together, because all are moving with the same speed. So to calculate kinetic energy, I can simply take half 4m v1 square. That is going to be loss in potential energy. And you see delta u, when you calculate, that is only of the gravitational potential energy. Only conservative force acting here is the weight of the block. So delta u is going to be minus mgl, because the block has come down vertically by the distance l, length of this string. So delta k is equal to minus delta u, and interestingly, solving it, I am getting v1 is equal to under root gl by 2. You can check the calculation. Half 4m v1 square is going to be mgl. So interestingly, it is going to be v1 equal to root gl by 2. This is the answer. And one of the student has queried whether string will get slacken in between. It won't slacken up to this moment, but after this it will get slackened. After the shorter string gets the vertical position, it will get slackened. Why? Because see, if it moves slightly forward, then the tension will be acting in the horizontally backward direction. And here, this will have the tendency to reduce the horizontal velocity, and it will continue to move with same velocity. So here it will have the tendency to get slackened. So after it crosses the vertical position, shorter string crosses the vertical position, string may get slackened. So anyway, my answer is not affected with this. But anyway, after motion, if you have to analyze, then it will be very important point. Here, after this, the string will get slackened. So as I told you, the main purpose is not just to get the correct answer. Main purpose is just to apply it. So here, one of the problems that normally take place with this question is, if people are not usually able to relate that both the velocities are same, because they commit here some mistake in relating the v1 dash and v1. So this was the major purpose of emphasizing this question. And the application, if you think of, this is a combined application of conservation of momentum, conservation of energy, and constraint equation. So we have discussed this question. And the next question, but before that, I'm just taking a snapshot of this question. So I'm moving to the next question. The next question is the optics question, in which we are having two lenses arranged coaxially. So we'll move to that question now. That question is, we are having a lens of focal length 10 centimeter, and its optical center is to be treated as origin, and we are having this axis as x-axis, and this line is taken as y-axis, and at the separation of 15 centimeter, we are having the another lens, and the focal length of this length is 20 centimeter, and this separation is given to us 15 centimeter, and we are having a point object O in the focal plane of this one. In fact, the coordinates are given as -10, 1. What does this mean? This means that this object in the focal plane of F1. So after the rays will be incident on F1, the first lens, they will become parallel. So the object lies in the focal plane, but not on the axis. So the ray, after emitting from lens 1 will be parallel among themselves but not parallel to principal axis. So this ray will get undeviated. So now if I see the diagram, so this will be the diagram. The other rays will be parallel to this one. So this will be the diagram. Okay, but interesting thing is there, if this ray is getting unaffected, so if this angle is theta, this is theta, and all those rays are parallel, so this angle, so I am taking the optical center of the second lens as O dash, so whatever ray will be crossing O dash, it will be again crossing at this distance, and so these rays when the rays are incident parallel among themselves but not parallel to principal axis, they are again going to concentrate at the focal point, focal plane of the lens, not at the axis, but not at the focus, but focal plane. And how to locate them? Locating the point in the focal plane, it's very important that we must consider the ray passing through the optical center, because the ray passing through optical center gets undeviated. So finally these rays, which have become parallel after passing through first lens, are going to get concentrated in the focal plane of second lens. And focal plane of second lens, so this is the focal plane of second lens, so this is the focus of second lens, say f2. So here they are going to concentrate, because the ray crossing O dash will get undeviated. So all those rays crossing the second lens will be concentrated at this point, we will get focused out at this point. So this is the point of the final image then. This is the final image point. So we have to locate this point, the coordinate of this point. You can see here clearly, this distance is 15 centimeter and this is 20 centimeter. So what is the distance from O origin along X? So this is totally going to be 35 centimeter. And now we have to locate this distance also. How to locate this distance? Let this distance be S dash. So S dash I can locate. I can clearly say it is below the axis, so it will be minus. But anyway, we have to calculate the value. This angle is theta. Again, this is theta. So because this is not going to be deviated, the ray passing through O dash is not going to be deviated. And the value of theta I am getting from here, because these angles are corresponding angles. So theta is simply this theta, and this theta is going to be approximately 1 by 10. In fact, tan theta is 1 by 10. So we are doing all under paraxial approximation. So tan theta is sine theta is theta. So in radian, theta is equal to 1 by 10, and this theta is same here, they all are same. So this theta is same, and here this distance is going to be 20 centimeter. So tan theta is equal to h dash by 20. So we are getting h dash by 20 is equal to 1 by 10. So solving it, I am getting h dash is equal to 2 centimeter, and it is below. So the final coordinate for the final image is going to be 35, comma minus 2 in centimeters obviously. So this is the answer of the second question. In fact, this question cannot be done by just applying formula, because when you apply formula for this, you get infinite, and then you just get confused how to solve now, because you are getting infinite. So how you are going to find the position of image? But if you are clear about ray diagram, you can solve it very clearly. So what is important? I will again emphasize in the questions of the ray optics, the ray diagram is very important, and what is happening with the rays, that is more important than doing with the formula. Because whenever the conceptual questions are asked, they are not going to base just on the applying the formula. So we have discussed the two questions that I have given yesterday, and it's time for today's question. But again, before moving to the today's question, again I am going to take the snapshot of this one. So thank you. It's time for today's question. So we are going to present you the today's question. In fact, today's question again. So this is day 2, and day 2 is yesterday I have started it. So it was 7. Today is 8. So 8, 9, 20. Day 2. And the first question for today is that is of electrostatics. In fact, every day I will try to take 2 questions, one from 11th syllabus and one from 12th syllabus. So today I am going to take up the electrostatic question. I am having a cell of radius r, solid sphere of radius r with a cavity as shown here. Cavity, the solid sphere, metallic sphere has center O, and the center of cavity is C. You can see from the diagram that obviously the radius of the cavity sphere is half of the total sphere. So this is r by 2 and this is the cavity sphere, and at the center of the cavity I am placing some charge. So the charge placed here is, I am placing some charge at not center of cavity but slightly displaced, say here, not at the center of cavity, say here. At some point I am placing the charge, say this charge is q, and outside from this sphere, say at again at distance r, and let this point be some point p, here I am placing charge q. So we are having two charges given in the system, and this metallic sphere is there, this is q and this is again q. And now my question starts. So the charge that is placed is at distance, say this is of radius r by 2, so this distance I am taking as r by 4. So anything, so I am taking this distance as r by 4. So we are placing this q charge inside the cavity at distance r by 4, and another charge q is at distance r from the surface of the sphere. So there are two charges placed here, and this metallic sphere is there. Okay. Now my question is, what is the work required? So this is the question. The two charges I have given, and whatever arrangement was to take place, that has taken place. Okay. We can easily visualize what arrangement will take place. This is the metallic sphere of radius r with cavity of radius r by 2, and inside the cavity at distance r by 4 from the surface, as indicated here, a point charge q is placed, and at distance r from the surface another point charge q is placed. So this is the diagram, and this is the situation given. Now my question starts. Okay. What is the amount of work required to give charge, extra charge, apart from this arrangement? Now this arrangement is already given. Over this arrangement, what is the amount of work to do to give the charge q to the sphere? Now I want to give charge q to the sphere. So what is the work done required to give to charge q to this sphere? So इसको charge q देने में अब कितना वर्क करना पड़ेगा ये निकालना है. So the question is, what is the work required to give extra charge q to sphere? That is the question. Question 1 of today. So this is the question 1. Okay. Again, I will take a snapshot of this question. So this is the question 1, and another question I will just give you. So the next question that we are going to discuss now is the question 2 for today. The second question is, a uniform rod of mass and length L is hinged from point O, and it is rotating as a conical pendulum, making an angle phi with the vertical axis. So this is a uniform rod of mass and length L is rotating as a conical pendulum, making an angle phi with the vertical axis, and this is the center of this conical pendulum. So this is rotating like this. Okay. And my question is, what is the angular velocity of this revolution? So with what angular velocity the rod is rotating? The rod is only hinged at point O, and so keeping it constantly under this conical pendulum, this rod is rotating like this. So obviously the force acting here is the gravity, and it's constantly rotating without any external influence and only under the gravity. It is rotating constantly with this angular velocity. And so my question is going to be, what is the angular velocity that I have to calculate? So what I am given here is omega I have to calculate. What I am given here is I am given m, I am given L, I am given pi, this is uniform rod, and the gravitational acceleration, obviously we know gravitational acceleration is g vertically downward, so that is given. So I have to calculate omega. So my question is, what is the angular velocity? So the question is, this uniform rod is rotating as a conical pendulum, making an angle phi with the vertical. Making angle phi with vertical. What is omega? The angular velocity. So this is the today's question. So we are having 2 questions for today, and all the best to you. So yesterday you have taken it sincerely. So again, I today expect all of you to take it sincerely. Thank you, and spread this to all your friends, because I think the questions are challenging and exciting your basic concepts and enjoyable also. So I hope you will spread the message to all of your friends and other peoples who are very serious in studying physics and taking the challenge for IIT JEE. Thank you. So meet you tomorrow.